Frieza descends onto the planet, his ship landing along with him. Soon enough, the area is surrounded by Frieza soldiers, including Zarbon and Dodoria. Piccolo and Goku fall to the ground from their surprise attack. Vegeta and Krillin stop to turn and look at the one responsible. They both freeze in their tracks. Vegeta never expected Frieza to show up here of all places, but their communications must have been intercepted. He must have found out about the Dragon Balls. Meanwhile, Krillin can sense Frieza's overwhelming ki and finds himself frozen in fear at how malicious he is. He looks over to the now de-transformed Nappa, the huge Ozaru laying face down in the dirt, as well as two Namekians. Frieza looks at the battleground with a smug look on his face.
Thank you for taking care of those wretched Namekians as well, Vegeta. However, there are some people I don't recognize here. Is that Raditz? Ah, no, it can't be. I take it this must be that Goku and his little earthling friends.
Vegeta was speechless and just watched as the Emperor landed and made his way towards the Dragon Balls. Frieza walks over to Goku, who's still in his Ozaru form and unconscious, and comments on how he's surprised this filthy ape is still breathing. Frieza asks the downed Nappa how they were able to take down most of the Namekian villages when most Namekian warriors have a fairly high power level. But the answer was quite obvious, wasn't it? As he turned around to look at Vegeta in his Ozaru form. Vegeta and Nappa took over most of Namek simply by becoming Ozaru. Now, some of you may be asking, why didn't Nail intervene? Nail could have easily taken care of Vegeta and Nappa, right? Well, yeah, he could have. But just like in the original story, he didn't intervene because he was protecting the Grand Elder. So it wasn't until the Earthlings approached him and asked for his help that Nail decided to intervene. It's actually fairly consistent with the original story, except in the original, Nail doesn't help at all, when he could have easily defeated quite a bit of the Ginyu Force. Anyways, Frieza continues to mock them all. Frieza would begin charging his energy for a death beam at point-blank range, when both Piccolo and Nail simultaneously used their stretched limbs to pull him away. They had regenerated while this was all happening and bid their time for the right moment to strike. Frieza laughs at the Namekians' feeble attempts and begins to free himself until he realizes that he can't actually get out of their grasp. Uh-oh, he starts to panic slightly and looks over to Zarbon and Dodoria, demanding that they tell him what the Namekians' power level is. All the Frieza soldiers do so and look directly at Piccolo, and one by one their scouters explode. Now a lot of them look like Two-Face. Some of them run away, while others are frozen in fear. Piccolo smirks and keeps a hold of Frieza, while Nail lets go and joins Krillin and Vegeta. Vegeta has still yet to say anything. Not only was he not expecting to see Frieza and all his strongest fighters, but he also didn't plan on coming across a Namekian who was able to restrain the Emperor. Frieza in desperation screams out,
Zarbon, Dodoria, fire!
Not a great Frieza impression, I know, but Frieza pulls his arms back as he begins to transform. He could already tell this was no time to mess around. All his soldiers aim and take fire at Piccolo, and as the smoke clears, they laid their eyes on Frieza's second form, a lot of them having never seen past his first. But Piccolo isn't impressed and continues to beat on the Emperor. Frieza has no option but to yell at Zarbon and Dodoria to call down the Ginyu Force and blasts Piccolo at point-blank range just to get away for a split second. As the rest of the soldiers ganged up on the Z fighters, Frieza took the chance to transform into his final state.
Yes, now you all will witness the full power of the great Emperor Frieza.
He laughs as he looks at Piccolo's terrified face. It was clear to him that he had won, but then realized that his men were also terrified. He slowly turned around only to be met by the giant face of the Ozaru. All of Frieza's men start to scurry and fire blasts at the monster, while he punched down, with Frieza only barely able to dodge out of the way. Piccolo nailed Krillin, who was carrying the unconscious Nappa, and Vegeta gather back up, as Vegeta says this is only a temporary truce while they deal with the evil Frieza. Krillin agrees to this, and Nail does as well, though he's clearly not happy about it. Nappa wakes up and yells at Krillin to let him go, that he doesn't want to be touched by a dirty human. Vegeta shouts at Nappa to shut up, and that they have much larger fish to fry. That's when Nappa's eyes focus on Frieza, and he holds on to Krillin even tighter, while having a look of pure terror on his face. He had never seen Frieza transform like this, so this must mean they're in deep trouble. Ozaru Goku continues to fire blasts, and slowly the Frieza Force numbers begin to dwindle. Piccolo says that if they let this continue, then Goku will destroy the planet. They have to take care of him. In the background, Goku can be seen rampaging against the Frieza Force. Frieza keeps yelling at his men to attack the tail, but they're all too scared to approach. Some of you guys asked how Goku is able to transform into an Ozaru. Did Dr. Gero consider this when making him? Well, the Dr. Gero in the story, and I should have mentioned this earlier, did figure out that Goku had the ability to turn into an Ozaru. He managed to just barely escape with his life, thanks to Vomi's help, who was also turned into an android by this point. Once he realized that the Ozaru power was connected to his tail, he thought that he could use it. So he continued to upgrade Goku, taking that into consideration while not letting Goku know about this power. You see, he would use this as a last resort. Whenever a big group of enemies or something like that came about, Gero could simply drop Goku in the middle of the night and use him basically as a nuke. Dr. Gero was already tampering with his memories, so Goku didn't have to be aware nor be able to use the Ozaru properly, because Dr. Gero would be able to control him. At least, as far as he knew, of course. Eventually, Goku got too strong for even Dr. Gero to control him. Some of you guys also happen to ask what percentage of android Goku is, with somebody saying that he's technically a cyborg, and yes, I know that. Android is just a name that in English we are giving to all the androids, regardless if they're cyborgs or not. Goku is definitely a cyborg. He's much closer to Android 17 and 18 than anybody else. However, since he wasn't a regular human, he could withstand a lot more experiments, which is why he was not only given stuff like Android 17 and 18 have, but also stuff that Android 20 and 19 have, that being the absorption rings in the palm of his hands. I'm not sure exactly what percentage of Android 18 and 17 are, but whatever they are, Goku may be like 5% more.
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hello everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video thus far. If you like this sort of content and want to see more and support the channel, then consider becoming a Patreon. There, you can help support the channel through various tiers while getting some perks of your own. As a Patreon, you will help get the videos out faster, fun thumbnail art, editing, and even writing for videos. Overall, this is the best way we can ensure to keep providing you guys with awesome content. Plus, you get some neat perks like a bonus mini podcast, early access to videos such as this one, and more. So be sure to go to patreon.com/SmugStick and consider supporting the channel. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Become a Patreon!
And now back to our show.
After some time, while the altercation continues, the Ginyu Force arrives on planet Namek. Confused by all the destruction, Frieza tells them to wait for his signal as he has a plan. Ozaru Vegeta slams his arms against the ground, destroying many soldiers, while Krillin uses scattered energy wave and Nappa uses explosion attack. Ozaru Goku also attacks the Z fighters as he can't control himself. Clearly they have too much to deal with, as Frieza also takes this as a chance to attack Krillin, then Nappa, and finally rip Nail's arm out. In a moment of desperation, Krillin uses a Kienzan to cut Frieza, but it only gets his tail. Frieza rushes down to Krillin, but Piccolo kicks him away. Thanks to the fusion with Kami, Piccolo and Frieza are already fairly equal, but his priority is keeping the planet from being destroyed. Ozaru Vegeta and Goku fighting each other, their hands locked, trying to push each other down. When Vegeta realizes that not only is Goku stronger than him, but his power is being drained away, Frieza uses a death saucer to cut Vegeta's tail off, with a weakened Saiyan landing on the ground, extremely hurt. Goku's about to stomp on him when Piccolo uses his stretchy limbs to save him while still holding off Frieza. Vegeta pushes off the Namekian warrior, commenting on how he felt his power being drained away and something isn't right, as if he'd ever lose against a low-class scum, he'd have to get stronger from here on out. The fighters all yelled at Piccolo to go and take care of Goku, with the extremely hurt Nappa, Nail, Krillin, and Vegeta stepping in front of Frieza, while Piccolo took the chance to charge up a special beam cannon as Goku slowly began to approach him, ready to attack, but Piccolo fired the cannon right between his legs, destroying the tail in the process as Goku fell to the ground. Finally, back to regular size. Krillin turned around, rushing to check in on Goku, while Frieza rose up to the sky, tired of these maggots. He would destroy them all right here, right now. Nappa, Vegeta, and Nail's eyes shook while they saw Frieza up in the sky, charging up a death ball. It was so large, it would consume the entire area. Piccolo tried to rush in and intercept it, but that's when the Ginyu Force made their move. Goldo used his time stop to keep Piccolo back. Recoome grabbed onto Vegeta. Jaice flicked Nappa into a mountain, and Birder stomped on Nail. Krillin prepared himself for death as he closed his eyes, feeling the heat approach, but it never reached him. When he opened his eyes, he saw the death ball had stopped right above him, shrinking down into one area, Goku's palm. Goku's aura sparks into a golden one as the energy he had absorbed surrounds his body. Krillin Krillin can't believe his eyes, but Goku clearly had some tricks up his sleeve, which he hadn't shown before. For once in his life, Krillin was glad Goku was an android. Frieza takes a step back, scared and completely taken aback from what he just witnessed. He turns to Captain Ginyu, shouting at him to do something. Captain Ginyu looked towards Goku, who was still absorbing the blast. He took this chance given to him, stabbed himself in the chest, and screamed out,
Change now!
No one knew what was going on, but watched as a bright light shot out of Ginyu and into Goku. Goku finished absorbing the blast and then began to laugh hysterically. Meanwhile, Ginyu fell to the ground, coughing up blood and grasping his wound. Krillin looks up at Goku, not sure what just happened or what caused him to suddenly laugh like that. In an awkward laughter, Krillin asked,
Goku, are you okay?
He reached out towards him, but he was immediately backhanded and sent flying away. Piccolo, Nail, Nappa, and Vegeta were equally as confused and just watched as Frieza smirked and began to slowly walk towards Goku.
Nicely done, Ginyu.
Piccolo looks over at Ginyu, asking,
Son, is that you?
Ginyu looks back at Piccolo and then at quote-unquote Goku. I don't know how this happened, but how am I looking at myself right now? Piccolo pieces it together, deducing that they somehow switched bodies. Frieza claps condescendingly at Piccolo.
Figuring it out won't be enough to save you though. Finish them off, Ginyu.
Ginyu, who's now in Goku's body, steps forward with a newfound confidence.
With a body like this, I can achieve anything!
Piccolo, Nail, Krillin, Nappa, and Vegeta all get into their battle stances once more. In the meantime, Frieza flies away, heading back to the ship. What they didn't know was he was going to find another scouter brought down by the Ginyu Force and find the final Dragon Ball. Piccolo walks towards the others, telling them that he'll handle this and they should focus on getting the final Dragon Ball somewhere safe and away from Frieza. Unbeknownst to our fighters, Dende had made his way over to the battlefield after healing some Namekian survivors of the planet. He had kept his presence hidden and had been hiding near some rocks until now. He walks up to our fighters, telling them that he wants to help and begins healing Nail and Krillin. They both thank him and start flying off towards the Elder's house. Nappa and Vegeta look over at the small Namekian.
Well then, get on with it!
Dende shakes his head.
You two were the ones who slaughtered my people. You didn't give them any chance. Even if they surrender and gave you the ball, you still killed them all.
Why you?
Nappa walked over to Dende when Piccolo intervened, telling Dende that he does understand his pain and hatred for these two Saiyans, but right now there's an even bigger issue. He promises Dende that they'll pay for this, and their people will be saved. Begrudgingly, Dende did so and started to heal the two Saiyans. Ginyu had no idea what was going on and began to walk towards Piccolo. Vegeta and Nappa were healed and cackled after their impressive Zenkai boost. They began to fly towards Krillin and Nail, trying to stop them from getting the final Dragon Ball, but they were intercepted by the Ginyu Force and the surprisingly alive Zarbon and Dodoria.
Ha ha ha, these weaklings aren't worth our time. Zarbon and Dodoria can take care of them, while the captain kills the Namekian.
The Ginyu Force hangs back around the 6 Dragon Balls, while the other 2 elites step up. Dende scurries away from the action, but hangs back in case he's needed again. As a team, Zarbon and Dodoria beat down on the pair of Saiyans. However, Vegeta smirks, revealing something. Saiyans get stronger when they heal from severe damage. The Saiyans refused to back down, and Goku wanted to help, but was in no condition thanks to that mortal wound. Piccolo and Ginyu Goku clash. Piccolo had an advantage over Ginyu, as he was still learning the ropes of his new body. Sure, he was learning slowly Goku's body, but his technique was terrible, and he could not use his cyborg capabilities to his full power. Piccolo smirked, as he knew he would be victorious. Meanwhile, Krillin and Nail had finally made it to Guru's house, securing the last Dragon Ball. They then head back to the battle zone, aiming to make their wish first. Krillin and Nail split up to try and confuse Frieza, as they knew he would be tracking them with his scouter, but he wouldn't know which one of them to follow. Nail took care of the Dragon Ball. Nappa and Vegeta were struggling against Zarbon and Dodoria, but through determination, Vegeta overcomes both of them, though Nappa isn't faring nearly as well. Though a little impressed, the Ginyu Force laughs, asking themselves why Frieza always kept those two losers around. Without much trouble, Rikum steps up and beats down on Vegeta, while Jais simply one-shot Nappa. Vegeta was just a bloody mess on the ground by the end of it, while Piccolo is having an increasingly easy time with Ginyu Goku. Nail was heading straight for the rest of the Dragon Balls, which were near the battle location. If he could just get there and make the wish before anyone else, then everything would be fine. Wish Frieza away, wish to power up Piccolo, any of them. He just hoped that Frieza was still chasing for the final ball or was caught up in a fight. Nail arrived and quickly ran towards the balls, placing placing it down and about to speak when a death beam cut through the air and straight through Nail. Dende ran to him. Frieza watched as the younger Namekian desperately tried to heal Nail. He walked over to the two and swatted Dende off of him.
Thank you for doing all the hard work for me. You really didn't consider the fact that I would just wait for you here until you brought me the final ball? I don't have time to waste playing chasing games.
He then walked up to the balls. Nail smirked, and Frieza simply picked up Dende by his clothing and screamed at him to make the wish. Otherwise, he'd kill his friend. Dende cried as Nail pleaded with him not to tell him how to. Alas, Dende gave in and began to recite the spell to summon Porunga. The Ginyu Force continued to watch the battle between Piccolo and Ginyu. It was clear that Ginyu was struggling and could no longer keep up with the Namekian. He couldn't use Goku's largely mechanical body parts, and the rest of the squad wanted to help. But Ginyu told them to stand down. He had a plan. Vegeta, who was barely breathing, knew he couldn't allow Frieza to win like this. Vegeta was the proud prince of the Saiyans. No Namekian should defeat Frieza. It should be him. He had to be the one to avenge his race and put Frieza down. But if not him, then... He turned his head to look at Ginyu's body on the ground. Vegeta surprised himself, but he could actually sense his ki. Just barely. Kakarot was in there, wasn't he? Vegeta turned his head to look at the Piccolo battle once more, as Ginyu screamed out,
Change now!
Once more. Without a second thought, in his last breath, Vegeta grabbed Ginyu's body by the arm and threw him up, surprising everyone as the attack hit the body and Goku was back home. Without hesitation, the real Goku blasted Ginyu into bits the second he was back into his body, not leaving a trace behind. Piccolo looked at Goku from behind the smoke, asking if it was really him. Goku simply smiled and shot him a thumbs up. The Ginyu Force screams a pain no, turning to look at Vegeta as he chuckles and passes away. But from behind them, Porunga had been summoned and Dende was being forced to wish for Frieza's immortality. Krillin finally made his way back, yelling at Dende to stop, but it was all too late. Krillin watched in horror as Porunga's eyes glowed and the wish was made. Frieza begins to laugh maniacally. Everyone despairs, and Piccolo and Goku prepare themselves for the worst. Frieza is extremely cocky, and he rushes straight towards the duo. However, Frieza soon finds out the hard way that something isn't right. Both Piccolo and Goku are extremely hurt, but even so, they have an obvious advantage against Frieza. Frieza is furious, but he doesn't care because he knows his body will keep healing him, and he can't lose this. He smirks as he waits for his body to recover, but nothing happens. They keep on attacking the Cold Emperor, and he keeps taking more and more damage as his body doesn't recover or heal. Frieza begins to piece it together and comes to the conclusion that the Namekian had lied to him, even after he threatened to kill his friend. In a fit of rage, he rushes extremely quickly towards Piccolo and Goku, who both block the incoming attack, but Frieza goes past them and towards Dende and Krillin behind. In an instant, the two of them are decimated by a death ball. Nail tries to reach out to them, but he can't move fast enough to stop the ball, and he watches as Dende and Krillin perish. Goku's heart shatters as he watches his one friend die, and the Namekian child, what he considered to be the most innocent being on the planet, and the other person he had told about Chichi. He even thought about Vegeta and Nappa, whom he had fought side by side with. Everyone had died, and it was all because he embarked on this journey for the Dragon Balls. If only he had been able to save Chichi. Tears fell from his eyes as sorrow and rage consumed his entire being. Piccolo stood in shock as a bright golden aura shone from Goku once again. This was the same power Piccolo had felt when Raditz first arrived on Earth and Goku defeated him. The shining color of his hair and piercing greenish eyes. Frieza looked scared. He knew about this. It had to be the legendary transformation, the Super Saiyan. He took a step back, wishing that what he was seeing was a lie. Perhaps Dende had made a wish to turn Goku into a Super Saiyan, but it didn't matter now. Goku glared at Frieza and the remaining of the Frieza Force. He walked slowly as Frieza tried to get away. Goku simply sprinted up, cupping his hands right in front of Frieza, inches away from his face, and whispered a quiet Kamehameha before blasting him in point-blank range, destroying not only Frieza, but the entirety of the Frieza Force that remained, and the spaceship. Even Birder, who thought himself the fastest in the universe, couldn't even see Goku move, and Goldo had no chance to hold his breath. They were simply gone in an instant. Piccolo was speechless at Goku's raw display of power, not to mention scared. He had no idea he could access this power. Piccolo had a lot more training to do. With Frieza finally defeated, Goku and Piccolo walk over to Nail. The three of them look towards Porunga, who is still waiting patiently for the next two wishes. Guru then telepathically explains to them that they should revive Dende first and bring him to Earth in order to create a new set of Dragon Balls, especially because these Dragon Balls can only revive one person at a time. Although hurt, Nail manages to speak his Namekian language and bring Dende back. Goku turned to Dende with a look of confusion in his face. How could he have defeated an immortal being? It just didn't add up. It was then that Dende revealed that he didn't go through with Frieza's wish. He wished for Goku's lady friend Chichi to be brought back. After all, he talked highly of her when they first met. Tears welled up in Goku's eyes once again, and he ran over to the small Namekian and hugged him tightly, thanking him for what he had done. Not only did he save their life, but brought Chichi back. Dende smiled at Goku, and Piccolo reassured him that they'd put everything right, thanks to the Dragon Balls. They now had a plan as they wished for Namek to be restored to the way it was before Vegeta arrived. Then, they would take Dende and wish everyone killed by the Frieza Force back to life. Porunga flashed an OK sign, as Namek was healed. Dende, Piccolo, Bulma, and Goku boarded their spaceship once again, waving goodbye to Nail and promising him that they would wish for everyone to be brought back soon enough, though it would take a while to get to Earth. Nail nodded at them, thanking them for everything. However, on Earth, not everything was alright, as Chichi opened her eyes.
Well. Looks like you're awake. I knew Goku would find and use those Dragon Balls to return you to life. Either way, you belong to me now. You will make the perfect spy, my dear Android 15.
Chichi opened her eyes, not at home, but in a lab, her arms being replaced with mechanical ones, and her will slowly fading away. Dr. Gero had done the unthinkable. He had taken Chi-Chi's body and turned her into an android in order to spy on Goku, bring him down, and take control of him once more. Her screams echoed as Gero laughed. Android Chi-Chi is born. Next, what if Goku was turned into an android? Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with friends who like Dragon Ball. Huge thank you to Brando_edits for the awesome thumbnail effects, and Kobe Faison for the Goku Kamehameha artwork. And as always, thank you to the Patreons of the channel: Speedster352, Zachary Carlock, Mika Liley, 3 Kaiser, Ricardo Rodriguez, Shane K, JP Law, Aubaude Reg, Angel MR, True Lightning Striker, Squad 100, Ghost 1571, PJ 9D III, Lee Urquides, Daddy Bear 103, Kaiser Jirachi, Jonas Paulus, Orange Bag YT, Trent Rolls, D-Man Plays, Jim G, Always Zero, Jerome Foster, D Miles, The Gaming Galaxy, Dakota Kaiser, Salil Paranjape, Keith Grimes, Celestia, Dreadpool, Phil J. Akir, and Samuel Randall. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed, and until we meet again, see ya!